So, welcome to Walpole United WFC. Hello and welcome to Walpole United with me, John Foster, MUFC. This is the match reaction show. Yesterday we watched Everton draw at home against Man United women's team, 1-1. Nat, Ben, I know you was there. Me and Craney missed it. Still waiting to see the big highlights on MUTV or wherever it's going to be highlighted. But yeah, looking forward to this one because I think after 7 WSL games now, it's a decent amount of time to kind of make a bit of judgment here and there. So we're going to get into that. Hello to everybody in the comments already. Nice to see a lot of people tuning in half an hour early to get the chat started. So if everyone on early, I'll chat to you before we go live, absolutely. And I'm sure the rest of the team will do the same. Just a bit of a hello to everybody first. Natalie, how you doing, mate?
Doing good, John.
Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, and I know you obviously spoke to Skinner at the end of the game. It was caught on camera as well. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show. But yeah, it was good to see. Mate, those kind of questions is what we need Emma Sanders and people to be speaking about. But I'm sure we'll get into that throughout the show. Ben, how you doing, mate? You okay?
I'm not bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Been a busy couple of days at work, so yesterday was the first game I missed apart from Durham away. So yeah, I was stuck at work today, but at least I'll be at the Conti Cup game on Wednesday. So looking forward to that one. Yeah. And Matt, how you keeping, mate?
Yeah, still going, John. So I can't moan. Yeah, I suppose looking forward to getting into this and sort of going over the ins and outs again of another draw and more points dropped yet again.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the angle I'm coming at it a little bit there because obviously it's okay drawing every now and again, but to draw so many times, this is kind of something that we need to get into. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of Skinner's quotes after the game, and yeah, we're just going to kind of get into it then. So obviously, Tooney's goal was again caught on camera by Karen, so that's how I managed to see the goal. She just going from strength to strength, and she's scoring for Lionesses. She's surrounded by quality people with the Lionesses. Matt, I'll bring you in first then on this one. Just talk me through what she must be thinking at the moment because she's not only playing really well for Lionesses, she's playing really well for United. I think she's only probably had one bad game all season, and that was maybe not down to, might not have been her fault. She's playing a variety of positions, and now she could potentially be our leading goal scorer for the season.
Yeah, do you know what, John? I think she's got a bad back through carrying the team. I really do, along with Russo. But yeah, I mean, listen, Tooney doesn't need any more hyping from me. She gets enough. But no, I think, listen, we've seen. You always want to see progression, and I think what we've seen with her is year on year, week in, week out. It was massively evident last year. I think last year. For me, was probably her best season. Obviously, season 1, she scored a hatful of goals. But listen, it was the championship and the opposition we were coming up against. You can give it to her, but you can't give it to her unless she's doing it in a better league against better players, which she is now. And I think, again, this year, she just stepped it up again, hasn't she? I thought her record was quality last year in terms of goals and assists. And I think she's not far off matching the assists again this year. Not only is she doing that, she's also consistently now adding goals to a game, which in previous seasons, thinking maybe, season 2, for example, in the WSL, she was sort of in and out the side and maybe wasn't quite as settled as she is now. But I think now she's thriving off sort of being that star player, being the shining light, a link-up player of Alessia is second to none. So yeah, I think just a real bright spark at the minute, and it's good, and I like it because obviously a lot of people go on about homegrown players, and I love that she's local girl, homegrown player, and it's great because so many people now look up to her, and yeah, just fantastic. So good to see it among mate continue.
That's Ben. I'm going to ask you about Tooney and their performance on Sunday, but this is the one right here. This question here, we'll get into this throughout the show. Because this is where the debate comes in, this one here, and I know Vicky's mentioned it as well. 4 draws on the trot if you include a Durham one. So we will get into this shortly, guys, because we'll all have an opinion on it. So yeah, Nat, obviously, Tuli's performance as a whole. Obviously, we know on the season she's playing well. How was that actual game against Everton? Do you think?
Yeah, she was one of the best players. I'd say the best player. 2 shots on target, both from her. Obviously, the goal, and then she had another shot when the keeper made a stunning save. I think it was all coming through her. She was like pulling into space and then passing it on, and all the attacks, whether it's through sort of Risa playing it, trying to play it forward and then passing it on to her. And I don't know if like sort of Thomas had come back in and you could tell, and I thought she was going to shoot. And if anyone's seen that video that Karen posted, I shout, shoot. And she doesn't. She passes it back to Tooney. And I say, Tooney, shoot. And, bang, back of the net. And then comes running over. So I don't know what's going on with what's going on. But obviously, people saying that it's disgusting and stuff. That's very strong. But I do think the 3 games, I know people say 4 games you should have beaten City. For me, I accept the City one. I know we're going to get into it, but I accept that as a draw, But I think Durham, yes, we should have won. And then obviously the 2 games that we've had, these are games where we haven't dropped points against them at all, in over 5, 6, 7, 8 games, we always beat Everton, we always beat Spurs. They're not even the ones that I'm worried about. It's Brighton and things like that I'm worried about when we go there. So, it is disappointing. And yeah, you can only say it as points dropped.
Yeah, and this is the thing, again, we will get more into this, but for me, a draw isn't too bad so long as you back it up with a couple of wins after it, or if you come into that draw with a couple of wins under your belt, but draw, then all of a sudden, questions will start to be asked, won't they? Ben, sticking with Tooney, what kind of position was she playing in on that game? Because I had the app up on my phone and you can see Russo and Martha Thomas both played, and now Hanson. Was Tooney kind of on the wing, or was Russo on the wing, or Thomas on the wing?
No, it was Russo was on the wing, pal, which surprised me. But then I thought that Russo did actually quite well out there, to be honest with you. I'll get off Tooney in a second, but I think it's made us a little bit more open as well, if you know what I mean, in terms of attack. Because same old problem on the left hand side again. Too far. Leah Goldman's too far tucked in, but with Russo though, she was actually, to quote Stu's terminology, she was actually getting chalk on her boots. She was making the pitch a little bit wider, and was getting a lot of success down that right hand side, which was good to see. But Tooney was just playing in Tooney's position, as that late breaking central midfielder player, if you like, the old school sort of. As I call it, the old school Scholesy position of years gone by, where she's in that centre of the park, but yeah, she plays that number 10 role, late breaking, getting into the box, or having a shot like she did when she scored. So it was good to see, but I think it was also a game where I had to put in a decent performance, because I think against Spurs she was maybe had a little bit of an England hangover. She didn't have her best game, so which is one of the reasons why I think she came over to the fans as well. I think which I thought was actually really, really brilliant when she scored. Straight over to the fans, and I thought at one point she was going to go and chuck herself on nap me. I thought, hey, we're gonna want this for years. We've been trying to get Charlie Devlin and all that lot to do it. Tooney's going to be the first one to do it, jump herself into the crowd, take the booking, But it was brilliant to see her come over and celebrate with the fans, And I think that was also born out a little bit of frustration from herself, that maybe against Spurs she might have thought, I'm not had the best of games, I've been rightly taken off. But listen, mate, she's the shining light in this United side, and I don't know how more I can keep praising her, because I'm running out of superlatives to praise her with. I just think that we need to start building the side around. I think I might have said it a few weeks back. We need to start building the side around Tooney now. I think she's the I won't say go as far as saying that she's the leader, but she's like the linchpin in this team. She's the catalyst. She's the one that every time we do struggle, we seem to be looking at Ella. Ella, can you dig us out? Can you give us a little something? And as Nat said, second half, I thought it was in. Me and Nat were going to be right behind that shot, and I thought it looked like it win. But I think, is it McKeever, their goalkeeper's name? What a save that was. Even I shouted out what a save that was, because it was a terrific save. Because I thought it was in all the way. But she's the bright light of this team. She's the spark. She's the one that gets our creativity going as well. If we play through Tooney, we know what we're getting with Tooney. We know that we're going to get some sort of creativity. We're going to get some sort of positive play out of her. She's not a negative player. She'll get the ball and then swivel on herself and go backwards. She always looks to go forward. She always looks to get that first time pass off. She always looks where is a space I can run into, to try display some of the opposition, try and move them around, so get other players into a bit of a room where I can thread a ball through from to hopefully get a shot on target. I'm just running out of superlatives to describe her. Every player will go through a patch where I'll have a bad game or something. I just think I put it down against Spurs and she had a bit of an England hangover, but right bang back on the money. Yes, it was yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, right bang on the money yesterday again. So, mate, I can't, I can sit here all day and roll off superlatives, mate, but I'm running out of them now.
Yeah, I just want to touch on what Benny said just about and what's going on in the comments as well. Tooney's playing where Tooney knows best. I think number 10, I think we saw it the false 9 to start with. And that soon was scrapped and she was moved back into the 10. And, I think that's how Mark sort of likes to play a lot through the middle. And I know Benny said about Russo did get the chalk on her boots. But then I'm seeing sort of comments and people are saying, are they overthinking? Is it too much? Is it confidence? Because, I think Leah, we see the best of her when she is on that wing and when it's just sort of, that's all she does, just going forward. You don't have to think about going back. And I think they should think about going back, but it's more pushing, driving forward, not having to come inside, not having to do this. I mean, Benny, I'm sure you'll remember, most of the time I saw Leah and I thought, there's all this space in front of me. Leah should be in this space. Instead, I saw her like driving inside and running through the middle, and next minute she was on the right wing, sort of in the same position that Alessia was in. And I'm thinking, come on, like, why are we? I don't know. It's different. It's difficult to understand from my point. I'm not a coach. I'm not a player, but it's just difficult to understand from my point of view. I think it's difficult for a lot of fans to understand because Leah's the best player, and yeah, we looked fantastic when he played a 4-3-3. And you had those wingers. You had Hansen as well, bombing forward, and yeah, I don't know. It's I don't understand it, and I don't like it. That's the be all and end all. Maybe it'll come good, like he keeps saying, great, and it just a little bit, and their goal was a lapse of concentration. But I think if we're going to have a little lapse of concentration, it's okay if you're 2 or 3-0 up. And I think even Tooney said, we should have been 3-0 up at our time. And there was chances. And you thought we were going forward. And it's just like as soon as we scored, it just stopped. And I didn't understand it. But yeah, I do think it's a confidence thing. And I think can be confusing at times. What we're being asked to do, what our style of play is, I don't think I don't think we're seeing the best from the players. And that's what he always says. I'm there to bring out the best in the players, and we're not seeing the best in them. We're seeing the best in Tooney and Alessia. I don't know what that's through. Maybe because they're playing in their best positions and they're just sort of being given that freedom. And they're young as well. They know sort of they're maybe more adaptable. Maybe he needs more young players. Maybe that's it. But I think when you've got one of the best wingers, 2 of the best wingers, I would just play to the strengths for me.
I want to speak a bit about Russo shortly. like playing in that position. But was she cutting in as well, or was she kind of just like playing out wide, or was she just doing a bit of everything, or what are your thoughts on her?
She was. I mean, Ben, I don't know what you and how you can. I think she was doing a bit of both, cutting inside and just hugging the touchline and then driving through the middle. But I think she's just like that, isn't she? I mean, when she plays up front, that's what she's like. You know, we saw last year she scored a goal against Brighton. She just basically ran from her own box, and she sort of set up the first goal, passed it through to Thomas. I think Thomas was good. I did like Thomas as number 9. I'd like to see them both up top, and then maybe play Tooney off him, something like that. But I think we need to see different formations, definitely.
I'll bring Matt in on this one then, Matt, because what I've said all along, and I know people don't like to see Russo out wide, they want to see him as number 9. But if ever you need to rest Hanson or Galton, I've always said keep Tooney where she plays best, number 10, and then you bring Martha Thomas on, because Russo could always play out wide as well. And they can always alternate or do something like that. Do you think this is maybe the start of maybe his preferred starting 11 now, with Hanson, as always, just being a bit of a game changer, or playing in the Conti games, or playing when she needs to? However, more of Martha Thomas than Hanson.
I mean, for me personally, no. I hope not. I think our our team is better with Hanson in it. But that said, we've kind of killed, or the manager has, the creativity of what she brings. So at the minute, listen, she's not been our worst player, so obviously she found herself benched. I don't like Alessia on the wing, regardless of her doing well. I think if anyone, if we have to accommodate Martha Thomas and Hanson's being benched, for me, then Martha Thomas, farm her out on the right, because she's pretty quick. She looked all right yesterday, but Alessia is a better finisher and is a goal scorer. And for me, I just think if that's the way we've got to do things, then so be it. But I don't think our team is the best minus Hanson. I really don't. And listen, I'd say the same for Leah as well. Obviously, listen, it's not their fault. They're giving instructions and following what's being said for how to play. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, Hanson brings, a lot to the team. Pace, power. She's strong. She can use both feet. It's just about, like I sort of said on, previous weeks, about playing to their strengths and about sort of setting up to everybody's strengths, really. At the minute, it seems like we're playing how the manager wants to play, and it doesn't suit the players we have, and the players need to suit the system, otherwise the whole thing goes to pot, which is slowly what's happening now. There's no point in having a system if your players can't do it. It's just a waste of time. And listen, you don't need to be a football coach or whatever to know that. It just doesn't work. So for me, something needs to be done. Whether we change the wide players, obviously you talked about Alessia, whether we mix it up, whether we change our style, whether we change the way we attack, I don't know. But I think for me, we are a weaker team without Hanson in it, just personally.
Can I just jump on that Vicky comment about Hanson works so I should be allowed to play a game? Yeah. I do think the one criticism I do have for Skinner, I think he's really strangled Galton and Hanson's games, though. Yeah. I really do. For the players that they are, the way he's trying to get them to play just does not work. It's not. You think you've got? I said it on the previous show with Connor as well. You think back to time Leah Galton was flying? Where Kay Stoner mentioned that she was the best winger in the country by far. And I just think we put the shackles on them both. I really do. I think this trying to get them to tuck inside and stay inside too much is hurting us. Because as soon as the fullbacks, I know what he wants to do. He wants to press the fullbacks as high as he can. But as soon as they hit the ball, the same problem yesterday down Galton's side. There's no one there. There's no outlet for him. So having to go backwards, sideways, and it's really affecting the game. And the same when Hanson came on yesterday as well. It was exactly the same thing. And there's a couple of times Hanson did get the ball and she just started running, And it's like we need her further 10, 15 yards further up the pitch to do that, Instead of Hanson having to come drop deep to try and get the ball. And teams are working us out so easily on that. So that's the one criticism I do have of him is I think he's shackled our two best wide options. Whereas I at the beginning, I was really looking forward to it because I read about, well, he likes wing play, he likes full back play and everything. I thought, oh, here we go. This is a manager that probably get even more out of Leah Golden and try and take Hanson's game onto the next level. But it's not quite happened as of yet.
Ben, just sticking with yourself there on that one. I don't think it's probably going to change too much, if I'm honest. And we can go into that maybe in future shows or maybe towards the end of this show. But Connor has been pushing this for quite a while. If he likes to pack out the midfield and not use wingers, then play a 4-4-2 diamond. Potentially, if he does like Arthur Thomas, could that be an opportunity to play Russo and Thomas up front? Galton's not on the best of forms. It's not working the way it should work, I guess, with Galton, as much as we all love her. Would you kind of like to see that formation, but maybe with Thomas instead of Galton?
Yeah, I mean, he could try it, mate. He could try it. Anything's worth a try, you know. Instead of being the same old, and it's not quite working, maybe he could try and vary it up like that. My only problem with that is, though, we need to make sure that you have someone like Haley Ladd there. You know, if you're going to play that one sort of player that's going to sit there to try and break up the opposition, to try and get a foot in and try to get to break up the opposition attacks, you definitely need a player like Haley Ladd in there. Or maybe a Boa Reeser that can maybe do a similar-ish job, you know. But you need a midfielder in there that can win the ball. There's no point trying to do it when you're maybe trying to say to Zellum or try and say to Groningen, you've got to be the one that's got to try and break up. That's not their games, you know what I mean? You're trying to make more of their games, and that stifles them because they're more creativity players. They're more players that like to go forward and try and make something happen in the opposition's area. So you need to make sure that we have somebody there that understands the role, that can break up the opposition's play when they're coming towards us, and try and give us a little bit of protection there between midfield and the back line. So it has to be someone like a lad. Maybe a Boa Reeser could do that job. I know what Crady said. He was a big fan of Boa Reeser. If we couldn't have a lad in that sort of position, in that sort of defensive position, and maybe even if you were struggling, you could probably put Lucy Staniforth in there, because I'm sure Lucy would do you a great job there, because I think she's a professional footballer that sort of has her wits about her. Do you know what I mean? But certainly don't want to end up seeing like your Gronings, your Zellums, or your Toonies playing in that sort of deep line there. Like, you don't want that. That'll stifle their game too much. Let them go a bit creative players. But certainly, I don't know, mate. Anything's worth a try, mate. Anything's worth a try. But he needs to figure it out quickly, though, because people are starting to lose their patience, unfortunately.
I think, you talked there about potentially, the sort of Boa Reeser being instead of Ladd. But even then, I think, watching that game, for me, Boa Reeser isn't even a 6. He's playing 2 players as a 6, and they're not even 6s. I get it, Haley Ladd was injured or whatever, or ill, whatever, so Haley Ladd didn't play. But for me, I think the minute Boa Reeser started pushing forward and playing balls forward and picking her head up and, playing a through ball, that's where you want to see her. Boa Reeser's like a Jackie in a way. She's just a bit bigger built kind of thing, probably can fight off a tackle a bit more. But for me, I think Boa Reeser is like the Jackie kind of style that you want to see. And so I think if we were going to play a diamond, I would like to see, Russo and Thomas up front. I think it could work. I think it would be good. I think Thomas is actually what I've seen of her, I've been quite impressed with her at Spurs. She was sort of on the shoulder and then moving. I like that kind of movement that she did there. And she was fighting till the end, tackling, pressing. That's what we missed. I'm not saying that Russo doesn't do it, but that was just a difference a bit with Thomas down the middle. She was strong. She was powerful on them. And I think we needed a bit of that. And that's where the goal came from, her driving and then passing it off to Tooney. I think she needs probably a bit of confidence as well, because I'm sure she would have wanted to take in a few more shots. There was a few times where she was sort of on the edge of the box, and I thought, have a go. Why are you not shooting? And instead I sort of saw her sort of more drift out to the wide and try and put a cross in, and no one's there. And I'm thinking, no, drive. It's just you and the like one other centre back or something. Drive at them. And I don't know what it is with his style of play. Obviously, he wants to overload the midfield and sort of like a Pep Guardiola kind of thing. Whereas under Casey, we just played direct. We weren't like trying to. I don't even know what he's trying to do. Pass it into the ball smoothly and elegantly. I don't care. Just drive, run at the defenders. And, I think, you wouldn't see Pep Guardiola doing like, playing with Giggs and Beckham, would you? He plays with Silva and all these little guys, and they pass you to death. And it's like that's what Skinner wants to do, because that's why he does all this back until you finally get a little space and you slot it in. But no, I think our fullbacks, our wingers are about, driving at people, beating a player, and we're not seeing that as much. And that's why I agree with Ben when he said about the stifling, because it's his system, and if you've got players that can play like this way, he needs to change his way until he gets the players that he wants to play like, to be honest.
There's a couple of questions that I just want to answer, but Nat, before I do, can you honestly see Skinner changing anything at the moment, like tactics-wise or formation? No. Neither do I. And I think Marty in the comments is saying, is it ego or lack of coaching ability? Possibly both. But what I would say on that is that if he's got a system in his head that he wants to play, and he's got, say, 6 or 7 players out of the starting 11 that can do it well, I've seen fans in the past regarding the men's game saying, yeah, that's his system, that's his style of play, no problem. But we've got to make some changes in January or summer. So, for example, Jurgen Klopp, he had a style of play from the very beginning. It didn't work out at the start because he didn't have the players to play it. But then he brought players in who could play it. I could see potentially some of our players leaving, unfortunately, who are very good players but can't play this system, and they'll just bring in some players who can play.
Players are going to leave, and he needs to bring them in. So putting that pressure on himself in a way, because
that's the thing. Yeah.
If the players leave who potentially might leave, he's putting himself under pressure.
Yeah. Matt, you can answer this one with me as well. I'll start it off. For me, with the draws, I would blame Skinner for the fact that we didn't score more goals, because I don't think you should ever be like 1-0 up and then just like sitting back. We're a team, especially against like the likes of Durham, Everton, and Spurs. Maybe Spurs was a bit more difficult than maybe we got given credit for, but definitely Durham and Everton. You should be putting them to the sword without the final few minutes. So I would blame Skinner the fact that we put ourselves in that position by not creating more chances. But the actual goals that are conceded, you shouldn't be. That's down to the players for me. If they make the mistake, that's down to them. So that's my kind of way of looking at it. How about yourself, Matt?
Yeah, I was going to say similar. I was going to say for me a bit of both. Obviously, if we go back, and I hate doing it, but if we go back to the Chelsea game, and for me there was at least 4 individual errors, which yes, he said we want to play out from the back. That's fine. That's his way. Okay. But then for 2 and 3 yard passes to go astray, and then that lead to goals is ridiculous on the defense's part. It's also ridiculous on his part for still persisting with it when it's clearly cost us 4 goals. If you look at that game, if that game finishes 2-1, we're not talking about it. We're talking about an okay result at home, and we've run them close. I think, you look at, like you said, John, the lack of goals is a concern. I think yesterday that the lack of effort on goal, there was 2 shots on target. We scored 1 of them. So to have 1 shot on target in 90 minutes, or 1 additional shot by the goal, is pretty poor, to be honest, for a top. Well, we're 5th now, aren't we? But for what should be a side pushing for top 3. So yeah, he's got to look at that and think, like we've all talked about, how can we get the ball forward quicker? How can we break the lines? You mentioned possession before. There's nothing hugely wrong with wanting to play a possession brand, but the way you do it isn't by faffing about, like you said, going backwards and sideways. The way you do it is to tire the opposition, but the ball's moved about and it's got to go forward. It can't be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 passes backwards and sideways, hoping that people will chase it, because teams will sit in and let you have the ball. You've seen it before. If you're a forward and the opposition's knocking it about your back four, you're not going to faff about chasing it. You're just going to sit compact. And that's what teams have done against us. That's all Tottenham needed to do. You just sat compact. Right, yep, you have the ball. I think I mentioned it on mine and Benny's show on Saturday. Arsenal had something like 27 possession against Man City and they won 5-0. So possession doesn't win you games. You know, we need to start sending it forward, you know, and I talked, like Benny said before, about having Bo Risa, and she's somebody for me that can break lines and, you know, in the absence of the likes of Haley Ladd and Jackie. So, you know, like I say, no massive like issue with wanting to play possession. It's how we do it for me. It's the execution of it that at the minute isn't good enough.
Yeah, just on Connor's comment, just on screen, I've left it on there because I kind of agree with that a little bit. I think he's got to be given an opportunity. So if he's playing this style of play, if this is the style of play that he wants to play, then he needs players around him to do that. He's not a Casey Stoney, you know, so we should expect him to play the same way as Casey if he can't play that, because the two different types of managers, which is a shame because Casey Stoney's way worked to a certain point. You know, he got us to fourth, you know, which is commendable with the squad that we had. But you've at least got to give him a bit of the tools to do his job, and to do his job, he's probably asking for. Well, he's got two seasons. That's his contract. So that's one of the tools, and the other tools to obviously get players in to do that.
I think he will get players in. I know people say, "Oh, well, let's say this. Oh, we don't buy in January." No, this is his first transfer window. If he's sitting there, he's seen them all now. He should have these names. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't even have names coming in and sort of demand that they sign players. I mean, we heard that he was going to sign. He was in for Haley Rasso, and I think to myself, look at Haley Rasso, and I look at Leah Galton, and I see the same kind of player. I mean, other people can tell me if I'm wrong, but you know, she's that winger kind of player. So, is he sort of? Yeah, that's on the list, and it's what United are, or are you going to go out there and be strong and demand the players that you want, or are you just going to take the players that United are giving you, you know? And I get, and it's sort of like we had similar with the men's sort of, these are the players that you got to sort of work with it. But then at the end of the day, like you said, Casey's style was good, but you brought in a manager who does it completely different. So why have you brought in a manager who sort of wants to play this kind of possession way, whereas you had a manager before who was sort of bit more direct and would run at players and, you know, do that kind of thing? It doesn't make sense to me, the way the board have done it. But like you say, he's in now, and think if you're going to give him, you know, you have to give him money. There's no doubt about it, and I think he will get that money. You know, look at one player that we want, Blackstenius. Is that a player that suits his style? I don't know. Or is that just one that sort of was linked to United and they're going to go back for? But I think he needs to be strong in saying, this is what I want. These are the players that I want. And if Blackstenius say isn't a player that he wants, don't bring him in then. And then known about it. For me, that doesn't make sense. I think he needs to have his list that he knows he wants. And, you know, then it'll come to the surface. And I think he's sitting there saying, oh, everything's fantastic, we're backed, and they backed it. And obviously you're going to say that, but, you know, I think, how can I say, I don't want to say yes, man, but I think you need to sort of be a bit strong in himself and say, bang, these are the players, go get me them. And then, yeah, but if he's sort of going along with it, then you're going to see, and I ain't got no sympathy for him, to be honest.
I'm just going to add something, John. Well, you can all answer it if you want, but I'm just thinking, obviously, Nat mentioned there about, you know, having his own players, and yeah, spot on, I agree, and obviously with what Connor said, but thing where I've got a bit of an issue is the fact that team just missed out on third. Now, I get he's got his way of playing, and I get he's not got his own players, fine, but surely would you not take a hit on your own way of playing to play to the strengths of those players until you get your new signings in? And I, like I say, I'll throw that open to all of you, because for me, if I look at that team and I think, geez, like, you know, look at what we've got, we're going to have to play this way to get the best out of them, having just missed out on third, and then take the hit until he gets what he wants to suit the way he wants to play? Or do you think he's trying to implement it and force those players into it and then get the players? I don't know.
He's trying to force it, but it's not working, Matt. So I think then you go back to the way. I mean, you still got the same coaches. Yeah, you still got the same coaches. You got Charlotte, you got Martin. They know how they played. Then you can slowly adapt it. Don't have to be straight away.
No, I agree.
But results mean more, to be honest. And it's as if I don't know what it is, but it's as if and this might be harsh on him, but, you know, sitting back on a 1-0 at Spurs, oh, well, we're nearly, oh, it's just these. This ain't Birmingham or wherever he played at. This is not, you know, Orlando. You can't just sit back on a 1-0. What do you think you're doing? And it's literally, he sat back from, I mean, Ben, tell me if I'm wrong. He sat back from when Tooney literally scored. We literally sat back after that. And I thought to myself, this is the first half. What is going on?
10 minutes in.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't know what it says at half time as well, but every second half we come out, say if we are a goal ahead or we're 2-1 ahead for whatever it may be, we come out second half, totally different side. A side that's took the foot off the gas, a side that's not pressing as much, a side that's not, not passing the ball quick enough. You know, it's like comfortable. He's trying to make us like we're a sponge. Like, well, we can soak up the pressure, we can soak up the attacks. And the thing is, you're at your most vulnerable when you've got a single goal lead. You're always at your most vulnerable. It's always dangerous trying to defend a single goal lead. We need to go in for the kill, you know. And yes, it's not always down on the manager. It's also down on the players, you know, to make sure they're converting the chances as well to get a second and a third to try and kill a game off. But also, I take Natalie's point about he needs to get out of the mindset that it's not Birmingham City anymore. He's not Orlando Pride. He plays for Manchester United. He doesn't play. He's a manager of Manchester United. And the opposition, doesn't matter if it's Spurs, Brighton, Leicester at the bottom of the league, any of them teams, they say Manchester United, even City, Chelsea and Arsenal, they all see Man United as the biggest scalp. We can go and get Man United. We could beat Man United. That'll make our weekend. You know, it doesn't even matter if it's Emma Hayes. Manchester United have been there will always be the team that she wants to be, that she will always make sure that her players up their game. You know what I mean? I think he needs to suddenly realise that it doesn't matter if it's under 12s, under 5s, men's or women's game. Every team that you play will up their game because they see Manchester United as the name, the big name. You know, yes, people might point out, we're not the biggest name in women's football in this country. Fair enough. I know we're only a few years old. Fair enough. I get that. But as Manchester United, as a brand, as a football club itself, is the biggest in the world. You know. This is why Manchester United is the most spoken about team. It's like I said on Connor's channel as well. A lot of the players, I think, are playing under an immense amount of pressure, and I don't mean that pressure from the manager. I think they're playing under the pressure that Manchester United as a football club as a whole it's not a nice place to be at the minute. There's a lot of negativity around the club, and I just think that some players. Whether it be women's or men's or under whatever it may be, I play with that little bit of fear that, you know, if they make a mistake, it's going to get highlighted. It's going to be all over social media. It's my name that's going to be slagged off or butchered or whatever words you want to use in that. And that's why I put that post up very quickly yesterday about Mary Earps. You've had a fantastic season. Don't worry about it. Because the one thing, what you won't have seen for people watching on telly, but as soon as that final whistle blew, Mary Earps turned, put her hand on her heart and went, "I'm sorry, it's my fault." You know, she didn't have to do that. She could have just gone and joined the teammates in the huddle and then came back over, gave a little clap and went to the change rooms. She was genuinely really, really sorry. I think she realised it was her mistake, you know. Yes, we need to be cutting out individual errors, but I think the whole team, the whole football club as a whole, whether it's you from your men's side to your women's side to whatever age group that you may play in, I think they're playing under that sort of cloud of negativity and that cloud of pressure. Listen, some of these players could go on and play for, I don't know, if they go away and play for an Arsenal or a City or whoever it may go and play for, they will never have this kind of pressure again. It's a different kind of pressure play for Manchester United. You're always in the spotlight. It doesn't matter how good you are or how bad you are or whatever it may be, you're always under that spotlight. Questions are always going to be asked. And this is exactly the same with Skinner as well. Questions are always going to be asked of him. You know, Casey wouldn't have done it. Casey would have done it this way. He's always going to be compared to Casey. Because obviously Casey's style was a lot more regimented, was a lot more, I think Casey probably got Manchester United as a football club and the way that fans like United play, probably got that a lot more than maybe Skinner does. Skinner's just come in, it's his first, it's his first few months in charge, and he's probably still learning about the football club. Whereas and some people do take time to settle in and learn about a team. Whereas I think Casey had a little bit of time before she took the team over. Not too much time because it was all a bit of a rush to get a team sorted. But I think she bought into the club's philosophy straight away, where Skinner's probably, trying to adapt working style and trying to adapt the club's style into his own as well. I just think, yes, he's a man under pressure. Yes, I know there was a couple of people, because I was stood next to him, that went, Skinner, you're not good enough. This is not good enough. This is not the way we play, blah, 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 blah. You need to sort it out quickly. Yes, he does, in a way. I do buy that. But in a way also, I think we still need to give him a bit of time. Give him at least one summer transfer window as well. And then come to this point next year and it's not working out, then go, Skinner, what's happening, mate? And so hopefully he's had a January window and hopefully he's had a big summer window. And he's got most of his players in and kept who he wants to keep and knows whose contracts are up and move those that he wants to move away and move on. But certainly so far, and I get what Natalie's trying to say, I get what Matt's trying to say. Should he still play the way that Stoney plays and then maybe try and adapt his style later on? But I think it's very, very hard for a coach to do that, because then people will be looking at him and say, if the results are not going the right way that way and we're getting beaten, people are saying, well, what are you doing any different to Casey Stoney? I thought you were supposed to be this sort of coach, that sort of coach that does it this way and that way, but yet you've not changed from Stoney's way. So either way, as a football manager, you can never win, I don't think.
Listen, and he needs to realise, Ben, he's going to get hammered. And I think...
Okay, exactly, mate. I think he needs to realise that, yeah. But I think also, I put it on the other channel as well quickly before I move it on to somebody else, is... on the men's channel on the other show with Connor, is I think he needs to cut or half the waffle he says on these pre and post match conferences, because I don't think he helps himself sometimes. Yes, I like seeing the passion from him. I like seeing, but also, yeah, like the Zone 14 thing. Obviously, fans are going to kick off about that. What the hell's Zone 14? But as Matt explained on Saturday show, anything over the age of 18, they teach them in zones as a coaching thing, blah blah blah. But maybe try and simplify it a little bit for fans. Don't be so. I don't know. I like it. I like the way he is. I like the passion he is. But how can I describe it? Don't be so maybe over the top with it all. Just put it down a touch, maybe. Just try to explain a little bit more where the fans probably get it. Instead of trying to explain it in coaching terms where fans maybe don't understand what you're trying to do and what you're trying to implement a little bit, and maybe that buys him a little bit of time that way. I haven't lost faith in him. I just think he just needs a little bit more time. I just think, patronising is the word Vicky uses there. I think sometimes it may come across a little bit patronising or a little bit too full on, if you know what I mean. I just think he just needs to tone it down a little bit. Just calm yourself, take a breath, and leave whatever needs to be said like that passionately. Leave that with you, between yourself and your players, and just come out when it comes to Sky, whoever it is he's talking to. Just try and just simplify it for us fans a little bit, because sometimes we're getting lost in this jargon that he's talking. I'm like, what's he saying? What's he trying to get at? Well, you kind of roughly know what he's trying to get at, but you don't know.
Well, this is what I'm saying. He's losing the fans by doing this. I think he needs to realise he did it after the Chelsea game, where he's sort of like, "Oh, it's only 3 points. This is Man United, mate. You can't come out and say that." Maybe in Birmingham you could say shit like that. "Oh, it doesn't matter. We were close. We were close. Doesn't matter, mate." No one's looking at that. They're looking at how much goals you scored and sort of what you did. And I think in that press conference he did with Emma, and I know you talked about it, John, but he was sort of saying. Maybe we're not watching the same game. What kind of foolishness is that? What kind of manager comes out and says sort of stuff like that, sort of against his fans? Because it was fans who were saying it wasn't good enough. I think his post-match versus Everton was a lot better, though. I think he did keep it calm, and he did say sort of, I understand that we want to play with width and stuff like that, but this is how we're going to do it. So I think he is learning, but I think he needs to learn quicker, because, like you say, everyone's looking all the time. So he can sit there and say, "Oh, I think it's unfair." But, you're playing for Man United, mate. Globally, people are watching. A million people are watching the derby. More will be watching next time. We're always going to have the most on BBC, the most clicks on the podcasts or whatever. So if people are talking about Man United, You know, this is the big time now, mate. It's not Birmingham. It's not Orlando. It's the biggest club in the world, and I feel they didn't tell him that. They didn't tell him, listen, these fans are like this. He can say, oh, I saw them and they're singing. That's when it's going good, mate. If we're not losing, we're not going to sit there and say, oh, it was still great, oh, back him and everything's great. Oh, we understand it's going to, you know, we all understand it's going to take time. No one's expecting us to be at top of the league, but it's games like Spurs and Everton. These were the games where we thought we, you know, well, even watching the games, we should have won. So like Craney was saying before, 2 shots. One of them was a goal and the other one was in the second half. So 1 shot on target each half. How is that good enough? Whether you want to play this or that, or whether this, you know, it has to be better sort of playing the way Casey's it, letting Leah run, letting Hanson run, letting them play their game to the best of their ability. I mean, think about it. If we're confused listening to him going on like this, you're telling me he doesn't get as passionate on the training ground. So he's probably saying the same thing to them. You know, Amy Rushguy asked him one question. Do you think this midfield, you know, what do you think you could add? Next minute, she's writing a full page thing. And I'm looking at it thinking, what is this guy saying? What is he saying? And I just think if he's confusing the life out of us, he must be confusing the life out of them too. I don't think he changes that much because, like you said, the way he's speaking to the Sky must be the same way he's speaking to them girls. And, you know, look at even Honor. She's come from Spain. She only just learned English. You know, sometimes she looks a bit like, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? And, you know, if this guy's going the heaven and earth, move the sun and the wind to zone 5, she's probably thinking, what the hell are you talking about, brother? Speak to me in playing, run forward. That's all it is.
It's like I think he reads out of the Bible, heaven and earth, move this, do that. I'm like, well, what's he saying? I don't know.
Matt, you're muted.
Sorry, John. Technical error there. No, I was just going to take the question you put there about sort of keeping us involved. I think, you know, we'd all, I say we'd all, the majority of people I'd listened to, I spoke to anyway, said, you know, if we can consolidate 4th, having lost the attacking talent we did, then we'd be doing okay, and obviously push 3rd as far as we can go. And I think there was a comment further up about, you know, this is a good chance because City are woefully bad. And I think, you know, spot on, this is the chance. And at the minute, we seem to be cocking up. You know, I look at, I mean, I know, Nat, you said different about you could accept the City thing. But for me, I just think against 10 players at home, with all the injuries they do have, they were there for the taking. And I was disappointed at that. I was disappointed at Everton. I was disappointed at Spurs. And you think that's 6 points. 6 points puts us second level on points with Chelsea. Now, obviously, we don't know what goal difference would be, but let's just assume we're worse off. You know, you joint second. It's a completely different sort of finish to the halfway point of the season, you know, and then you can go in with more confidence than we have. But it's like, you know, like Nat was saying with sort of Owner and some of them, how many players maybe look lost? How many players think, actually, what the hell's our job? What are we supposed to do? What do we do here? Are they thinking too much about what they should be doing or what zone they're in or what the role is rather than actually doing the job? And that's not a criticism of players. That's just a general between players and management. It needs to be on the same page because at the minute, it seems to be they're here, he's there, and it's just like it's very up and down. Go on, Nat.
And I mean, I just think when a lot of people say, you know, this and that, and do you need to blame the players and his individual mistakes? But like you say, if there is that disconnect, like you're saying, Matt, like looks like he's saying do this, and they're like, I don't know what's going on. Then that all comes down to the manager at the end of the day, and whether that's right or wrong, you know, this is football. This is what happens. You know, seeing it sort of with Ollie. You know, he's got good players there, but they seem to not doing what he wants them to do or whatever. So then it does come down on the manager, and you know. You can sit there and say, oh, Mary should have done. Yeah, they should have done all of it, mate. But it seems to be coming back on you. And I think it was Ian who sort of said something, if I see right, you know, we should be, you know, the amount of chances that we are creating, the amount of shots that are having, it's not good enough. And that's what's the worrying part about it. You know, I think we were worried when we played Leicester. We had something like 20 shots, but we only scored 3 goals. But at least we had those 20 shots. Now it's sort of, we're not even having 2 shots, you know, it doesn't make sense. And so it's looking, you know, that's when you get worried about it, when the shots aren't coming, when you're not creating the chances. And, you know, we've gone from actually looking quite all right at the start, you know, like that Leicester game, like the thing, yeah, Chelsea was a blip, but then we bounced back Birmingham. And now the 4 draws in a row, it just thinks, you know, I don't know. And maybe it's sort of from the Chelsea game and he's sort of worried. I don't know what it is. but he's I don't know. He needs to change something, and whether it's the players, he needs to drop some players I don't know, change the formation with them. But something needs to happen differently because the way that we're going doesn't look good going into the next 2 games. I'm confident. I'm always, back the team and do that. And I know people have sort of said, it could be a bit overreaction. Maybe it is, but, fans were going to overreact because at the end of the day, we've never seen us drop points to Spurs. We've never seen us drop points to Everton. And it's silly things. And then two shots on target. This is not what we do.
We have got quite a bit to get through, but Matt, maybe on tomorrow night show we could talk a bit more about Borisa and maybe how she could fit into the squad. She obviously got a bit of game time, which is what we wanted yesterday. We've called for it. We've seen lads play in the game previously, so maybe we could talk a little bit about Borisa and will we see more of her. I would like to see, definitely. There's no sign of Jackie coming back anytime soon, so there's going to be at least a couple of games where we might see a bit of Borisa, so maybe we could talk a little bit about her in tomorrow night show. But yeah, let's talk a bit about this league position then. So I've been tweeting out throughout the day about are we on par, are we below par, are we above par? So just my thoughts on this. I did put it on Twitter anyway. You can't really look at each individual game at the start of the season because anything can happen. If you could predict every win or loss, then we'd be rich. But what I would say is I think I've kind of predicted 1 point out of 6 against City and Chelsea. I think, that's fairly decent. And then out of the other 5 games, I would have probably thought 3 wins, if not 4, probably 4 wins and a draw against teams that are below us, which means that we're like 2 points below where I thought. Now, you could go into every game thinking we're better than this team, we should win. But realistically, that don't always happen. So to me, I would have thought 4 wins and a draw. You could draw against any one of them. It doesn't matter who it is. But we've drew against Tottenham and Everton. So that puts pressure on. Nat, I can see you nodding. Whereabouts are you? If
No, I'm of the opinion that, Chelsea defeat, okay. I know Matt says not, about the City, but I think if we'd said at the start of the game, yes, I know they have all those injuries, but yes, I would have taken a point off City. But I think Spurs and Everton, those is what I saw as wins. I know that they've done very well and they're doing very well, but for me, especially that Spurs game, we were all over them. I know it's we should have really. There was chances there where we should have taken them, and I know there was shots off target, but that's why I seem to think it's got. I don't know what it is. It's sort of as if there was a lot of chances there. Now Everton, there wasn't that many chances, but we looked a bit more comfortable in defending. So I don't know what's going on. Kill off the game when you have the lead, not sit back. I agree with these comments. And I know there's a comment. Connor saying sort of if it wasn't top 3 would there for the taking, would the pressure be so high? But I think it's like what Benny says at Man United, so the pressure was always going to be high, and I think we're getting all these first time conceding 6, first time dropping points to Spurs and Everton. This is what is making the pressure on, and I think it's the manner in which we're conceding the goals and the fact that it just looks like what Matt says, so disjointed between what he's saying or what we think he wants to play like and what we're actually seeing on the pitch, and then the talent that we have isn't getting utilised.
Ben, bring you on this one. The same question. Everyone's like opinion on it, and answers well in the comments. We are about 3 points off Brighton, 2 points off Spurs. We've still got to play Brighton before Christmas. Spurs looks like they have an easier running going into Christmas. What are your thoughts on our league position at the moment?
Obviously, it's not where we want to be, mate. But sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward. Sometimes in this game, you have to take the hits when you can, and then hopefully, if we get a good run going up to Christmas, and then obviously we go into that winter break, and this time learn from mistakes after the winter break and start really, really well and start really quickly. We could have a terrific end to the season. It's like Maisie said on the men's channel. Yeah, we was top of the league last season at Christmas. The men's were as well, and then we slipped down to 4th or whatever it was. Finished there. What's to say that we can't go from where we are now and then finish in the top 3? There's still a long way to go in the season, but it's not ideal. It's not what we want. We obviously want to see ourselves higher up, pushing the likes of your Arsenals, your Chelseas, and especially taking advantage of Manchester City a lot more. With all their injury worries, and it's probably not going to be a better time to sort of compound the misery into Manchester City. But also on that Man City game on Wednesday, I'll be I'd also be very cautious that they're going to be a wounded animal looking to come back. It was Emma Hayes' first win at the Etihad or something, or whatever they call a mini council house. So they're going to look like they're licking their wounds a little bit, looking like they want to come and bounce back and prove a point. And the Manchester derby, like we've seen in the league game, is not going to be a foregone conclusion. It's not going to be one way. So we need to make sure that we're in on our game. We need to put everything away. Whatever's happened before now has happened now. We need to make sure that we go into that City game thinking, on a very, very positive. Everybody thinking positively. The manager, the players, the fans. Let's get right behind the team and let's make LSV an absolute cauldron of noise. And let's put it beyond doubt, because the Berties are saying, last time it was quiet. Well, I don't know. They must have had their what do you call it, in their ear blockers, whatever it is, in their ears, because I definitely thought it was quite boisterous. But let's get behind the team. Let's make it loud. Let's make it proud, and let's make sure we go on a run now up until the winter break now, where positive results. We're winning games. We're picking up points. Not dropping points. We're making sure we're getting the full 3 points. And we're putting teams to bed as soon as we can, not trying to sit on a 1-goal lead at 1-0 or 2-1, whatever it may be. Let's go and get the second. Let's go and get the third. Let's put the game to bed and then take the foot off the gas if we have to a little bit and preserve a bit of energy. I just think let's just try and be positive, keep on being positive. Yes, it's not where we want to be. But yeah, sometimes in life as well as in football, you maybe need to go backwards a couple of paces before we go forwards again. I'm trying to be really, really positive and really, really, upbeat about it, because at the end of the day, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. There have been points to our season that have been very good. There have been certainly at the start and everything. We go back to the way that we were at the start, a little with that positivity and all that energy that he keeps going on about, like a red wave and all that. Just keep it positive, man. So keep it going. I know at times it's hard. I know at the minute the whole football club is in a bit of a bad way. There's nothing much to smile about. But let's keep it going. Let's see this team through till Christmas, and let's hopefully get a few decent results on the back end of that. Just stick by it. Just stick behind the guy, even if you're not fully convinced of him. Just to stick behind him. Let's get ourselves to Christmas, and then we can reevaluate Christmas and see what has to be done.
It kind of ties in with a couple of comments that I've seen. So I just read about, I got Stuart's comment in front of me, MW on screen, and James basically kind of giving like expectations of what they think might happen. So Skinner needs to get a trophy or be sacked. And then you've got MW saying fourth is not good enough. And then we've got James saying Champions League, cups or bust. I doubt the Glazers or Murto, whoever, says to Skinner, if you don't get a cup this season, you're going to get sacked. I really doubt even Champions League. Now, if this was a fourth season under Casey, I think it could be different. But I think now, unfortunately, our expectations have dropped as a club. Thinking, okay, we're probably a year or two now behind where we should have been, because it feels like we're having to do it all over again. I think the expectations have started to lower, and this is what I think. But go on, Nat.
To be fair, though, as well, if I could just add in as well, though, let's not forget, like I said on the previous show with Connor, Emma Hayes had a 10-year project. This has been 10 years. Yet she hasn't won the Champions League yet, but it's a 10-year project. We're not even 6 months into Skinner's project yet,
games.
We're for a 3-year project for Casey, which he asked for 5 years. Do you know what I mean? And people are in there asking for trophies and everything. Yes, it'd be nice to get to a cup final and win a trophy and everything. People are saying, but is fourth not good enough? Yeah, fourth is not good enough. But if you could consolidate another fourth place this season, like I think we said at the start of the season, would we take a fourth place and maybe a cup? Yeah, I think we would like take a fourth place, consolidate on that and build on it. You remember this guy's still trying to bring in but in his vision of Manchester United around, still hasn't got his players in. Let's be fair, all them players came from Casey near enough still. You know what I mean? He hasn't had a transfer window yet. He hasn't got rid of who he wants to get rid of and bring in who he wants to bring in. So, you know, it's about the balance of that, just like Natalie said earlier.
But what I will say, though, Ben, is if Spurs, who came up at the same time as us, I remember when we came up, we were miles ahead of them.
Yeah, true,
and then,
mate, true.
You know, the second season, still miles ahead. Even the third season, they had like Alana Kennedy, but it's still better than them, you know? That will then look bad. If Brighton finish above us, I know Brighton were in it longer, but they're the ones. It's not Everton with all this kind of money. They don't even look in it half deep. You know, they look good, you know, but, you know, look at them fighting around the relegation zone kind of thing. That was a massive point for them. You know, it's if Brighton and Spurs finish above us, that's when I'm worried. That's when I think, you know, people are gonna turn on him, because it's not like it's City that finished in third. And I think that's when people have said, yeah. And I think if City finish third, that'll be the best thing for us. But if we have Brighton and Spurs sort of, especially Spurs, because I think we came in, we're in the WSL at the same time. And like I said, if you look back to that time, I know times have changed and all this, but we were so far ahead of them. And for them to just caught us up and overtaking us, for me, it's not good enough. It's not what we want to see. And I know then people say, well, that's harsh on him because, you know, But, you know, these are the games then. Spurs, I mean, we get Brighton after Arsenal, and I'm terrified. I mean, Brighton are our bogey team anyway, but I'm just going into it now, and I know he drew with them in pre-season. You know, I'm just thinking, God, these are going to batter us as well. You know, can we win against Brighton? I mean, I know Casey didn't. I know it was a bad game there, but at least Casey always won against Spurs. At least Casey always won against Thing, and I think this is where he has to be a bit more adaptable now. You know, play this way until you get the players that you want in. I just think you have to get the best out of the players that you've got there. If you sort of came in saying you're happy to work with these players, to then work with them and get the best out of them.
So that ties us in nicely with like the last topic of the show before we go. Obviously, at the end of the match, you made your opinions and your thoughts known to Skinner. It is on camera. I know we haven't uploaded it on social media as far as I'm aware, which is cool.
Yeah.
Just kind of tell us your frustrations or what your thoughts were after the game, what you said to me and what you said back.
Yeah, well, my frustrations with that, I'm seeing Leah Galton, Kirsty Hansen, like we said at the start, and they're not running that wing like I know that they can. I'm seeing people saying stifled, you know, people saying killing, maybe that's a bit extreme, but, you know, not getting the best out of these players. He's come in saying we've got a fantastic squad, fantastic foundations, go and get the best out of one of our best players last year. And that's just what I said to him. I said, I want to see the wingers on the wing a lot more. I said, stop cutting inside. He said, we need to cut inside to create width. I don't agree with that. I see what he's saying, but not all the time. I think he wants to see goals like how she scored against Birmingham, but you got the space there. You're able to do it. I think, you know, versus Everton, we've seen with Leah the last time we were at that ground what she can do. And that's what I want to see from her again. And I think she wants to play that way. She just doesn't look like the player that we know and love. It's sad to see. It's hurting a lot of people, you know, and that's sort of what I said. I said, I don't like this style of play and I want to see you play a bit different. And he just said, you know, obviously, thanks for coming, but this is what we have to do. So that's why I sort of said so resoundingly, he's not going to change. He's got an answer to everything kind of thing. Fair play to him, you know, he's got his style. And some people are going to like it. Some people aren't. And I think currently, I mean, yeah, he's there to win me round. I said at the start when he came in, I'm 60-40. Maybe I'm 70-30. I'm sort of a bit more not against him, but I'm not seeing what he, you know, I was told all these great things.
Concerned is the word now.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm really, really, really concerned. And, you know, he was good enough, let's say this, he was good enough to come over, listen, hear it out, say something back, and, you know, then thank us all. So, you know, I don't think people should be going after him saying, if I saw Ian saying, people are telling him to go back to America. That's over the top. It's not. I think we potentially brought in a wrong person, and maybe that's not his fault. He's just come in. Obviously, if Man United come knocking at your door, you're not going to say no, are you? Man United came knocking at my door tomorrow, I'd go and do it. I might not be good enough, but I still go and do it. But you can't blame him for that. But yeah, he needs to know that we're concerned, and obviously I tried to voice some of them concerns, but he's got his way. So let's see.
If I can just end the show just on this question here, is this style any good? I think we'll see at the end of the season if we finish third or fourth. Simple as that. If we get to that level, then it's at least the same as Casey in his first season, which is, I think, fairly decent. But we won't know these answers until end of the season. That's why I'm looking at it. Somebody in the comments mentioned, we was top at one point last season and then finished fourth. So for me, I'm always the same. The league doesn't lie after the season's ended. So I guess we'll see if it's any good then. Not for manager, absolutely. Plan for the rest of the week then, Matt?
Yeah, obviously. John.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Bouncing around here, pal.
Yeah, you carry on.
I thought he fell off his chair.
There's it.
Too many of them drinks from these Stourbridge parties. I think
you'll do well today. Back on the apple juice.
Dear me. Sorry. Plan for the rest of the week. Then obviously my show tomorrow. Like you talked about, obviously we'll chuck in Bo Risa because it will form part of our analysis for the City preview. That's some of the show. And then after that, I want to look into Women's Football Weekend. Obviously, me and Benny briefly went into on Saturday about growing the game, but I want to sort of analyse bits from that and look at bits. And I think for me, just how it can be improved. I've read things criticising it, which I was surprised at, but after reading about it and thinking about it, it's sort of I can empathise with it. So we're going to dive into that, all for the good of growing the game. Can it be done regularly? What's good about it? What needs improving? Things like that. So yeah, that's the other half of the show. Me, you, Gareth, and Anthony. Wednesday we're at the game, and I think Natalie, you've got your National League show as well.
Yeah, coming out.
Thursday will be match reaction. So this is keeping me on my toes, John. It's away from the norm. Friday fans forum. Me and Benny Saturday, and back on a match Sunday. So busy week with a few games to get our teeth into. So yeah, thick and fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's it then, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we'll be all back here on Thursday with Emma and get you some good news on the City game. See you later, guys. Have a good one.